Hello, everybody. Welcome to my live today. Happy Monday. So it's the beginning of the week. We're starting off a new, fresh week. Hope everybody is well today. So what are we going to talk about in today's live? Well, I've done several videos on VAWA. That's the Violence Against Women Act. And it's basically for people who are abused. It doesn't have to be a woman. It could be a man too. People who are abused in their relationship. And I want to talk about the police report issues. Okay. I want to talk about the fact that a lot of these applications, the people are afraid to go forward because they didn't do a police report. Okay. So I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what I'd like you to do, if you have any immigration questions, is go ahead, type your questions, and I'll get back to you. Okay, once I'm done with my beginning part on VAWA, I will scroll back to the beginning. I will see what's going on. I will look at the questions, and then I will answer whatever they are. So you don't have to repeat them. I have some people, they'll come on and they'll ask a question. They'll see I don't answer for a little bit, and then they'll ask the same question. So go ahead and just ask it once. You can be specific, because a lot of times, I'll look at the questions. I'll say, well, I need this or I need that information. So if you're more specific on the question itself, then it will allow me to answer it better. Okay, so VAWA. So as you might know, somebody comes here to the U.S. or, they're already here and they try to adjust. And sure enough, they get married to a lawful permanent resident or U.S. citizen, and they get abused. Physically, emotionally, whatever it is. Could be a combination of both. And they get abused. So what happens? Okay. This particular person, let's just say she for now, this particular person thinks that they cannot call the police because if they do, the police will come and deport her. Or if they do, their husband will do what he says, call immigration, and then the next day immigration will be at the door and they will be deported. So what happens? A lot of these people fear filing the VAWA petition because they didn't do a police report, and they're afraid of doing a police report because of all the consequences. So first things first, with a VAWA, you don't need a police report. It's now required. Now, I'm not saying that, if you happen to have a police report, it doesn't make the case better. It does. It makes it easier to prove, okay? You have to understand, oh, thank you. You have to understand that immigration doesn't believe anything. That's just a fact, okay? So it takes longer to prove what you need to prove if you don't have a police report. But on the other hand, with a VAWA petition, they understand, okay? They know that you're afraid. There are very good reasons why you didn't file the police report. I mean, minus the fact you thought you might be deported, minus the fact you thought that the police might come and deport you, there might be a serious consequence of being abused again. If your husband finds out you called the police, he might beat you. Okay? I mean, that's the fact. So there's very good reasons not to file a police report if you're afraid. Okay? If you think bad stuff's going to happen. So, given that, when you're ready to file the VAWA petition, note that it can all be done in secret. Okay? You can prepare it from square one to the very end, and your spouse does not ever need to know about it. You don't need to tell him about it. You don't need to ask him for any information. You don't need to ask him to sign anything. Nothing. Okay? So understand that while the police report itself might be nice, there is a significant majority of VAWA applicants that don't have a police report for these reasons. So given that, obviously when I'm doing a VAWA, one of the first things I'll address, minus the abuse, of course, is the reason that there is not a police report. Why? Okay, you have to explain it to them. Okay, the declaration, which is very detailed, at least when my firm's preparing it, is very detailed, and it goes into why the police was not called, what fear exists, what threats were made. A lot of times, the threats that the spouse makes, and again, whether it's the husband or the wife, the threats that the spouse makes are very believable. Okay, they'd say all they have to do is pick up the phone, call ICE, and then immigration will be at the door to deport the person. Now just imagine that if you were to go to another country and you didn't know their immigration system at all, and you got married to someone who is, a citizen of that country, and they claim that they're going to do this, well, you would be in a position where you would believe them, okay? You wouldn't think that they could not do it, okay? So that's why you have to make crystal clear why you didn't call the police, and then add to the VAWA not only the physical abuse, but add to the VAWA the fact that you were being threatened by your spouse about deportation. That would cause anybody emotional abuse, right? I mean, if you come to this country and you left everything in your home country and you have no house, no friends, no family, nothing left there, you will greatly fear being deported back, especially with the way things are today. I mean, you think you snap your fingers and you'd be back. So there's actually, and probably from this point, more people that will not call than will. But the policy is, at least at the time they made this law, that they do not want someone who's suffering abuse to have to stay in the relationship because of their fear of deportation or their fear of not getting the green card. In fact, it's the exact opposite. They encourage them to leave, so they're not with the abusive relationship. They encourage them, if they're fearful of not making the police report, to not make it, but to explain why. Okay? All that makes sense? So the VAWA application itself, the burden of proof, which means, the amount that you have to prove to get a yes answer, okay, is less than with a lot of other applications. Okay, that's the fact. So you don't have to prove as much as you would, for example, if you were just doing a regular marriage petition and you had to prove the bona fide marriage. Okay, not to say you don't have to prove a bona fide marriage with VAWA also, just to make clear. I mean, let's say that you knew the person for 2 days before you married and you didn't really love them, and then they beat you to a pulp. You're not going to get the VAWA approved because you can't prove the bona fide marriage in the first place. Okay, I mean, there's other things you could get, U visa, things like that. Okay, so that is the summation of the VAWA and why this issue, this small issue, why you don't need a police report. And make clear, I want to make clear, it could be male or female. Now, if it's a male being abused, they're even less likely to call the police. Not just for the fear reason, and not just for the deportation reason, but the embarrassment reason, the being ashamed reason, the fact that they're a male calling the police on their wife. Okay, they're even more fearful. So there's a higher percentage of males filing for VAWA that won't get a police report than otherwise. Okay, all that makes sense. All right, and if you have questions, specific questions on VAWA, go ahead and ask me. Now, let me go through and see what questions we have. I hope everybody is doing well today. All right, let me see. Just like I got to scroll back. I'm scrolling back to the beginning. Everybody be patient. I'll get to your questions. Okay, here we go. I'm back at the beginning now. Now let me start scrolling down. and I will see. Whoops. I pressed something. A second. Jeez Louise. Okay. God, I pressed something and 20 things came up. Okay, just a minute. Let's see. Let me just scroll down. I have a lot of people that joined, so I have to go through all the people that joined and then get to the question. Just a minute. Okay. Let's see. I know, it's so quiet now as I'm scrolling through, but be patient. Here we go. Okay, we got our first question here. My I-45, that's an adjustment application, by the way, has been pending since 2/17/24. Well, just so you know, that's not a very long time, okay? I mean, that's about 10 months, so that's really not a very long time. Now shows the interview is waived. Well, that's great, okay? That shows that your interview is waived, which means that you must have shown sufficient evidence that the marriage, I mean, I'm not sure if your 485 is through marriage or what, but whatever it is, you must have shown sufficient evidence that it was bona fide, okay? And they don't want to waste their time with an interview because, bottom line, you've shown sufficient evidence. So you must have submitted a good petition, or you had an attorney that submitted a good petition for you. So how long will it take? And then for the decision. Well, once the interview is waived, then it's just a matter of them adjudicating it. Hopefully it's not waived because there's an issue. Generally, the case is done very well if they don't need an interview. I mean, if they're going to deny a case, it's such appealable issues if they deny it without even letting you speak. So the chances are, I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouth here, but the chances are highly likely they'll approve whatever you filed. So you're looking at a few months. That's generally after the decision's waived, has to go through all the process. Okay? So I don't want to say congratulations prematurely, but, it's always good when they waive the interview. Okay, and Olga sent me a heart. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Let me scroll down. See what other questions we have. I came with a tourist visa, have TPS. My son is in the U.S. My son is a U.S. citizen, disabled. I'm his guardian. Okay, I think I've answered something like this previously, similarly, but here's the issue. If you're his parent, you're not his guardian. I mean, that kind of goes with it. A guardianship is really for someone who's not a parent but has been granted authorization by the court in which to take care of the needs, look after, and it's specified, take care of the medical, educational, and so forth. So the question would be what you can do in which to stay here for your disabled U.S. citizen son. Now, the fact that you say you're his guardian, what that really indicates to me is that you're essentially the only person that can really take care of him, okay, being his parent. So you have TPS, and that's good. I'm assuming your son is not 21. I'm assuming he's a lot younger than that. And so what it will do is you have to see, since you're on TPS, that means you're in safe mode here. And believe me, I'm sure you understand what's coming into office in a few months, in a month, give or take. TPS may end. So you do not want to be in a position where you're safely here on TPS now thinking it's going to last forever, because it's not. The only real question now is when will it end? So when you have a son who's disabled, and let's say you have no realistic way of adjusting status here until he turns 21, you need to try to file some kind of petition to legally stay here even without the TPS. And that could be a humanitarian parole. Okay, I don't know how disabled your son is. I mean, sometimes there's disabilities that are minor and sometimes they're very major. And I don't know if he's getting therapy, and maybe he's getting more than one therapy here. Okay, So that all depends. Okay, so there's things that can be done. What I would not do is sit here and wait on TPS and do nothing, because the train's coming to an end on that one. So, I'm not sure what country you're from, but I wouldn't hold my breath that TPS is going to stay for much longer, realistically. That's just the reality, okay? All right, let me scroll down. So anyways, I have 483 hearts. Hey, can we get it to 1,000? I always like seeing those numbers go up. Okay, well, thanks for everyone. Let's see. What are my possibilities to apply for a green card? Okay, well, this is the same person who I was just answering above, and you don't go generally from TPS to green card. There has to be something in between. So I don't know how long you've been on TPS. I don't know if you've gone out of status at all. If you're on TPS, what goes through my mind is, did you apply for asylum? Because if you're on TPS, there's obviously problems in the country. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. There's problems in the country. And if there's problems in the country, do you qualify for asylum? And the question is, why didn't you apply for asylum? And have you been here for more than a year? If you've been here less than a year and you qualify for asylum, that's what you got to do first of all. Get your asylum application done. And note that filing and winning are two different things. Okay? So you need to make it prepared really, really well. Okay? If your next question to me is you've been here longer than a year and are on TPS, which is a significant possibility, you can still apply for asylum, but you have to show why you didn't apply for it within the first year. What happened? Okay, I mean, I could exaggerate. I could say, your sister in your home country just got killed last week because she wouldn't, sign the political document saying that she's a communist. Okay, I mean, I'm just throwing something out there. That's exaggerating, and things usually aren't that, obvious. Hey, we got to 1,000. All right. I like my fans out there. So it usually is not that easy, okay? But the fact you're on TPS by itself could be a reason you didn't apply for asylum, okay? Because you thought you were on TPS, you were safe, and you didn't have to do anything else. So I would definitely look into asylum, okay? So that's that. They have caught onto the remain and stay with people claiming DV. Okay, so I think what you're trying to say is that there's people who are trying to milk the system by claiming domestic violence when it didn't really happen in order to get the green card under VAWA. I think that's what you're trying to say. And, oh, thanks. Do I look cool or what? I mean, I look cool without the sunglasses, but with them, I really look cool. So the question is, someone who's faking a claim, whether they can get the green card on VAWA. And it's all a matter of proof, okay? It's really all a matter of proof. This is the whole issue anyways with any petition. Anything you say to immigration, they're not going to believe, okay? So someone who's claiming that there was domestic violence but are lying is not going to be too hard to get them in, the loop. So it's not just that someone decides one day, well, I'm going to claim that my husband was beating me and I'm going to go get the green card. It doesn't work like that. There needs to be declarations and affidavits and supporting evidence, and there needs to be, the legal brief and all this other stuff. And while the whole thing this morning was that you don't need to have a police report, yes, but if you don't have the police report, you have to have even more evidence, okay? So it's like anything you submit at immigration. You lie about it, you're most likely going to be found out, okay? So that's the whole reason they adjudicate it. They want to sift through the people who are lying in order to get the people who are not lying, okay? So that's that. Let's see. Okay, I'm scrolling. Okay, thank you for doing these lives and answering questions. You are welcome. Okay. Whoops. Oh, what? I just clicked and it went way up. Just a minute. Shoot. It always. I don't get why it does that. Just a minute. Now I have to scroll back up to where I was. Give me a second. I know I'm not the most efficient at this, but I do get it done, and that's the important part, right? Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, I think I'm almost there. Just a minute. Well, we have a lot of questions at the end here. Just a minute. I'm almost there. Oh, here we go. Okay, now I'm where I was. Okay, cops are trained on influx of fake VAWA reports. I mean, yeah, of course they are. They're trained not just on that, but any fake thing. And there's I think I saw a question down below. What happens to someone who does that? Well, that's a crime. That's a crime to commit to try to do a fake report. So there's consequences if they're going to do that. Okay, there's serious consequences. So, there's checks and balances for people who want to try to milk the system like that. That's a reality. How does Social Security work for widows pending immigration adjustment status? Okay, well, you've exceeded my level of authority and knowledge here. I'm an expert on immigration, okay, except you're asking a question about Social Security. So I can tell you from my knowledge that, if the person is not a citizen and wants to apply for Social Security, that's not going to happen. So the question is, what can they do? So for widows, they need to try to adjust, and there's the widow petition. If they don't have their green card, there's a widow petition that they can file to get the green card and ultimately citizenship and ultimately Social Security. Although I would, get with a Social Security lawyer just to confirm that. Okay. Entered illegally. Lawyer said I need a 212H. What's the procedure for this with illegal entry? Okay. Well, a 212H is different. Okay. Did you have an immigration lawyer tell you that? A 212H will waive crimes. Okay. What you're probably looking at is something to waive the illegal reentry or the unlawful presence. So I need to know how long you've been here unlawfully present. I need to know, did you enter more than once? I need to know if you were removed. I need to know if later you were put in removal proceedings and got voluntary departure. So, is doable. But as far as the procedure for the 212H, I don't see just by what you said that is the proper waiver. Okay? Sometimes you get part-time immigration attorneys or attorneys who don't do immigration who think that a 212H waives everything under the sun, and it doesn't. Okay? Okay, husband is in removal proceedings, has immigration court into January. We have an I-130 pending for 2.5 years. I assume you mean pending for 2.5 years. Well, if your husband qualifies to adjust status, and I would need to inquire as to whether that's the case, okay? I mean, let's say he came here illegally, has no legal entry, and even if you're a U.S. citizen, and minus anything else, he can't qualify to adjust. So whether you have the I-130 pending or not, adjustment's not going to help. But I'm assuming, based on your question, that he probably qualifies, and you just want to have the I-130 adjudicated. The court, as you probably found out, does not have jurisdiction to adjudicate the I-130. Okay, it's only USCIS. So from there, you could request that they expedite it, but if they don't, you could actually bring a writ of mandamus against them in federal court because the immigration court is pending, waiting for the I-130 to be adjudicated. So you don't just have to sit, twiddling your thumbs month after month, because you know what? They have an I-130. You know how long it's really going to take them to adjudicate that? Probably minutes, okay? And they can't claim 2.5 years is not sufficient time. So you need to move on that, okay? Get an attorney. I don't know if you have an immigration attorney representing you in removal proceedings, but there are things that can be done to start getting pressure on immigration. I mean, theoretically, you can even make a motion in immigration court to request that the judge request that, immigration push that I-130 through, okay? So you notify the immigration court. The only reason you're sitting waiting there is for immigration to do their job, okay? So that's that. Can I reopen a removal order based on a U visa wait list? Still waiting on the U visa, and I'm on the wait list. Well, that depends. I mean, I understand you're on the wait list, but has it been approved? Okay, has it been approved and you're just waiting to get it adjudicated, or are you waiting to get it adjudicated? So there's different things that could be done. If you do have a removal order, I would need to see how strong your U case is. Okay, not everybody who applies for U gets it, so I would need to see how strong it is, and then you theoretically could reopen. You could get a work permit based on a bona fide determination of the U visa, and then have the court. You could have a waiver of the deportation, of the stay of the deportation, so nothing happens while you're waiting for the U to go forward. So I would need to have more information on where exactly you are in the process. Okay, this is for a question that was earlier. Now you're testing my memory to see if I can remember what you asked me. So he says, thank you, it's for marriage we filed ourselves with. So I got 2 problems with this. One, you didn't finish the question, but I do remember what you said. This was for the I-485 no interview, and you want to, I think that's it, and you want to know how long it's going to take. So it's good you filed it for yourself. You did apparently you put sufficient evidence in there, unless it's just, I don't mean to throw a wrench in there, but if it's a blanket denial because you absolutely didn't submit what you were supposed to, they wouldn't even need an interview to tell you that. So hopefully that's not the case. Okay. What happens once accusations are proved to be filed falsely and 1 year, 6-month-old son is with her? Okay, I'm assuming based on this that she claimed that you abused her in some manner. So there's 2 issues here. There's the criminal issue, okay, of her making false accusations and so forth. And you need to, I would hire a criminal attorney to go after her, call the, prosecutor, let them know, so that if they want, they can file charges against her for that. And then, of course, there's the immigration side of it. I don't know what your immigration status is. If she filed a VAWA, if you filed a VAWA and you couldn't get it because of the false accusations, and maybe she's the one who committed the abuse. So I need more information. Okay, you came with a K1, got married to your spouse, abused and refused my IOS. I moved out and want to apply for VAWA. You can. Okay. What you're thinking right now is, well, the law says with a K1 that you can only adjust status based upon marriage to the U.S. citizen and an adjustment, nothing else. Well, this is an exception. VAWA would be an exception. So you did what you had to do. You did move out. Okay. So the question is, I'd have to know why the AOS was refused. Was it refused because you couldn't prove it was a bona fide marriage? Okay, so I need to know all that, but the VAWA is doable, so you can contact me later. I'll let you know. Okay, your son's 24, and that's why you're his, I see, and that's why you're his legal guardian, because he's an adult and I already scheduled an appointment. Okay, well, that explains it. So if he's a U.S. citizen, okay, which I think you said he was, then, and you're his parent and you're here on TPS, I suspect you did not enter legally, or else you'd be able to, he would just be able to file adjustment for you. So you can file an application to be paroled into the U.S. It's sort of a legal fiction that allows legal entry, even though you didn't do it previously. And if you were legally paroled in the U.S., then he could file the adjustment for you. Okay, whether you're his guardian or not. So that's how that would work. The fact you are his guardian and the fact he is disabled and you're taking care of him would make the parole application more likely. Okay, so it's doable. Okay, past deportation only, got prima facie. Can the lawyer put in joint motion and wait for VAWA approval? Well, that depends. Okay, I think what you're saying is you filed the VAWA application. You see that there's prima facie evidence, or they claim that there's prima facie evidence for the VAWA application, and now you want to know if you can get the deportation removed, put in a joint motion. Well, first of all, immigration has to approve a joint motion to reopen. And if you do it now, you're going to have a better chance if you do it 3 months from now. That's a fact. So try to get it in the door before, Trump's in office. I mean, you can still, we'll see what happens. I mean, you still can do it after, but you just want to maximize your chances. Okay, appointment with Thursday. Well, I'll talk to you Thursday then. Although it can't be this Thursday because Thursday is Thanksgiving. And of all the days that we close, that's one of them. So if it's Thursday, we need to reschedule. But we will, okay? How can I speed my political asylum? I've been waiting for 4 years now. Well, if you have a really good case, you could file a writ of mandate against immigration to force them to make the decision. So basically, it's suing them and getting it in federal court. Okay, so you asked the same question like 5 times in a row, but I answered you. Okay, what's going to happen to people with permanent bar if they get caught during Trump's deportations? Well, I did a whole video on this. We have to see what's going to happen. And, the magic quote, mass deportations, there's all kinds of problems with claiming, with that apparently trying to become effective. So there's issues with that. So I need to see what your case is to see what can be done and why you have the permanent bar. Sometimes there's ways to file things to get rid of that permanent bar and so forth. Okay, so I need to see. I'm thanking you for the sunglasses, even though I think you sent it to me a long time ago. All right. It just went up a little bit. Okay. Do I think that Trump can end the birthright on U.S. soil? He can try. I mean, he can try. He can get into office and try, and he can do an executive order, and that's, of course, never going to pass. And then in order to do that, there would have to be all kinds of laws by a mass majority of both the Senate and the House that would change that. So it's, they can have the majorities in all the branches, but they certainly don't have these super majorities. That would be incredibly unlikely to pass, okay? I mean, I can't guarantee it to you, but the chances of that passing are virtually zero. Okay, and that's the same question. What happened when your I-131 is approved and your I-765 is still pending? Well, they're two completely separate things. If the EAD hasn't arrived, you need to call them and see if you can get a status. Okay. All right, I think I scrolled up and it skipped some questions, but, well, that's going to do it for today. So I'll be on again, and then we'll go with more questions and so forth. If you have specific questions, go ahead and contact me in normal manner, which I have multiple ways of doing it, and then we'll go from there. So everybody have a good rest of the week, and I think I'm going to do a live before Thanksgiving, but if I don't, everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkey, your family, and get blessings for the good in your life. All right? Have a good day.